Hey guys, welcome back. If you're starting with this video clip, you need to go back to the class website and look for part 1 because this is part 2 of the French and Indian War flipped classroom. So again, make sure you've done questions 1 through 3 at this point, and we left off right here on this FYI slide about the actual war itself. This is not something that you need to be writing down, but you're just trying to soak this information up into your brain because you kind of want to know how this story plays out before we move on. So we were saying that the war for a long time was going in the French favor, but over time what ends up happening is changes in leadership and conflicts about how to go about fighting in battle and stuff between native groups and French soldiers cause confusion and chaos and really get them to the point where they're losing that winning momentum. And so in comes Team Britain, and we start getting some wins. Another big factor that helps us out is an English guy by the name of William Pitt comes in and not only gives us useful and effective strategies in fighting, but also provides money, which helps be able to bring more British troops over to the colonies to help fight this French and Indian War. And so at the end of the day, Team Britain ends up winning the French and Indian War. Okay, so make sure you've got that soaked in, and here we go to question 4. If you haven't drawn a line yet underneath everything from question 3, make sure you do that. Go ahead and get the title down for Q4, Results and Effects of the War. So once France loses the French and Indian War, for all intensive purposes, they are no longer going to be a dominant presence in the New World. If you take a look at the maps that we've got going on our slide, this one over to the left is pre-war. So remember, we had the 13 colonies, and all of this land in yellow was French land, and then you've got that disputed territory, which kind of kicked off the whole French and Indian War in the first place. But then the French and Indian War is fought, and when France loses, what will ultimately end up happening is, look at that, there's no more yellow over here, because England will end up winning all of this land from the French. So what happens when the war ends is that France and England sign a treaty. Okay, this is sometimes called the First Treaty of Paris. All right, this treaty is also known as the Treaty of 1763, or the Treaty of Paris of 1763. Okay, and it totally changes the landscape of what the New World looks like. Obviously, there's a huge difference between the map on the left and the map on the right when you are looking at who's holding the majority of the territory. So by the time this war is over, you are down to really England and Spain being the large territory holders in the New World. France is out of the picture. All right. However, this was an expensive war. Remember, England's 3,000 miles away across the Atlantic Ocean, and they have continuously been shipping troops and supplies over here to help fight this war, that has lasted months and months and months and months and months. Okay, that was expensive. England's national debt as a country doubles because of the French and Indian War. Doubles. Like, that's a big deal. Okay, so this is going to end up being the beginning of a chain of events that's going to change everything because England's debt has doubled and they need help with that, obviously, right? England feels like, hey, we only got into this war because you guys got yourselves in trouble with the French and the natives, and we own you, so we came over to help bail you American colonists out. But this whole war was fought defending you, American colonists, so you need to help pay off this debt. That actually seems kind of reasonable, right? And so France being out of the picture and defeated, England's left to pick up the mess of how are we going to pay for the fact that we beat them for you guys? You got to help us out here. And so this is going to start increasing taxes on colonists and cause a lot of anger and resentment about who should really be paying what and what's fair and what's not. All right? Make sure you highlighted your title yellow. Anything in purple, you highlighted with your super duper highlighter color. And here we go. Draw a line underneath everything you just wrote, because here we go to the next slide. Push pause if you needed more time. several video clips here. I'm going to post some of these, not all of them, but some of them next to this Flipped Classroom series. Remember, you guys, some of these video clips, they've got stuff you need, helps get that stuff seeped into your brain, so don't ignore them. I know you're at home right now and not in front of me, but watch the video clips. They're helpful. Do it. All right, here we go. So I'll post some of those. Push pause on this one. Go watch those video clips. Please, 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 please. And then come on back to this lecture, okay? Okay, so the war is over. Now what? I know you're interested. I know you're dying to know what happens next. All right? I won't keep you in suspense. Here we go. All right, go ahead and put Q5, Pontiac's War, highlighted yellow. And here's what happens next. Oh, gotta love that baby right there, right? That's kind of funny. Okay, moving on. All right, so what happens next? What happens next is that we have won all this land. Going backwards, you guys, remember we won all of this land. Wow, look at all that nice, pretty pink land we now own. We didn't used to own. The size of the territory of England's colonies just over doubled, right? Like, this is a lot of new land, okay? Well, we had promised Britain, anyways, Britain had promised the Iroquois League, who, remember, were the natives that actually helped us out, Team Britain, in the French and Indian War. If we win this war in exchange for your guys' help, Iroquois League, we will not let settlers, the colonists, you know, in America, go settle on this new territory. We'll leave that for you guys because you helped us out, Native Americans, and you deserve it. Well, we all know how good we are at keeping promises with the Native Americans at this time in history. So unfortunately, even though we had promised that we would stay off because they had helped us, guess what? The colonists are like, excuse me, we are a big reason why you guys won England. Like, we worked our butts off over here too and made sacrifices, and we went and fought and worked with the armies and helped you guys out. We deserve this land. We helped win it. Yeah, who's right, who's wrong? I don't know, because, you know, the colonists do have a point, right? They did help. They're a big reason why we ended up ultimately winning, and they want to go settle in the land. Like, England owns it. They're English. They want to go live in it. So I understand their point of view. I can also understand the Native Americans' point of view because, hey, they were promised that, you know, everybody would keep their paws off of this if we won. So colonists kind of ignore England's order to not go into the new territory won in the war because they feel like it's their right to go in and settle. So you could imagine, not a long, you know, shot to picture that this ticks off Native Americans, right? Because they've been promised that that would not happen. So obviously this is going to create tensions, and then one of the Native American tribe leaders, whose name was Pontiac, gets together several other tribes, and they decide that they are going to rebel against all these colonists that have been moving into the new territory that the colonists had just won from France in the French and Indian War. Okay, the rebellion ends up creating a lot of havoc. Some forts are destroyed. British forts are destroyed, and several hundred colonists are forced from their homes, you know, in fear or by homes being burnt down and stuff, as a warning sign from Pontiac's tribe as well as several others. Get out. You guys promised us you'd stay away. Okay. Go ahead and highlight your title yellow if you haven't done that already. Make sure you've used your super duper very important highlighter color for all the stuff that's in purple. If you're not ready, push pause because here we go. All right, so wars cost money. Now you've had the French and Indian War, and there were still British soldiers in the colonies when Pontiac's War happened. So now, of course, British soldiers are sticking around longer than they thought they would to help with the threat of Native Americans, because colonists are not good listeners and keep moving in to that territory they promised, England promised the natives that they would stay out of, right? So the costs just keep accumulating and accumulating, and we've already doubled England's debt in order to do the French and Indian War, and now we're at, you know, rebellions and stuff with like Pontiac's War and all of these problems. So we've got more and more British troops needing to be over here and stationed and keeping everybody safe, and the costs are getting out of hand. Okay, so the national debt just keeps increasing and increasing as shown on this graph. This is not good for England. The whole point of colonies is to make us money, not cost us money, right? They've been very clear. Remember the Navigation Acts? You can only trade with us. You can only buy things from us. We can, you can only sell things to us. They want total control of the colonies because they want all that profit. The point of a colony is to make the mother country profit. And now all of a sudden, their debt's doubled because of these colonies. England is not happy. All right. So in addition to that, remember, more and more English troops are coming over there to help with the war efforts when the French and Indian War was going on. And now they're over there to help with all the Indian rebellions that start, like Pontiac's War. And this is just adding more and more debt. No bueno. Not good. Okay, so we've talked about solitary neglect before. England had kind of been hands off. They're leaving the colonies alone. They get to do their own thing. And now England's like, we're going to be all up in your business because, man, you're costing us too much money and you guys are not being good listeners right now. Okay, you are little kids throwing a tantrum and we need to put you in your place. Remember, we own you. You are English. Okay, you are our colonies. You're supposed to be making us money. So solitary neglect is going to go out the window. And they create a law called the Proclamation Line of 1763. And this right here is that proclamation line of 1763. And it says, hey, colonists, you are forbidden. It is against the law for you to cross this line. Remember, we had promised you guys weren't going to come over into the new territory. So stop doing it. It is now against the law to pass this line. Okay? Q6, Proclamation of 1763. Write it down. Highlight it yellow. All right? So King George III, who is the king of the colonies of England and the colonies at this time, is the guy that says, I'm tired of spending money on this. I'm tired of having to quarter troops. Remember, quartering means housing and feeding and keeping the troops and supplies and stuff. I don't want to spend money on this stuff anymore. And he's the guy that has the Proclamation of 1763 laid down as law. I don't want to spend money on you guys anymore. You're costing us too much money. Your debt is out of control. You're supposed to make us money. Knock it off. Don't pass this line or else. Well, as we have learned, colonists are not good listeners. And they say, King George, we're just going to ignore you because you're 3,000 miles away. And what you going to do about it, buddy? Okay, and so colonists primarily ignore this law and pass the line anyways. So again, take a look at the map, you guys. We got the Proclamation Line of 1763 right here. They're not supposed to go into this new territory over here. This is now all owned by England. We've over doubled the land holdings, right? But hey, stay off of this property, please. Yet colonists, not good listeners. We helped you guys win this fair and square. We want the benefits. We're going to move over there. We should have the right to do that. And colonists have a point too. They did help. So, who's right, who's wrong? Hard to say. Make sure you highlight that yellow and everything in purple, which is the whole slide. You use your super duper, very important highlighter color. Okay. All right. Again, video clips, you can find those along with this clip. Go ahead and make sure you watch them. Do it. All right. Last slide, you guys. So the changing attitudes towards England. As you can imagine, the colonists are ticked. We helped you guys win this land fair and square. We should be able to go over there. This is going to be the first major disagreement American colonists are going to have with their mother country of England. Okay. The other thing that has happened over time, think about it, guys, is that this has been generations into the colonies being established. We're like 150 years into colonies now, okay? So the longer colonists have existed and generations of people have lived over here with unique American issues and culture developing and problems developing, and life here was very different than it was in their mother country of England. And the people alive now, some of them have never even been to England and know nothing about what's going on in England. They have really, the colonists have come to see themselves as having their own unique American culture, okay? That they don't necessarily consider themselves English anymore. Now, that's not true for everybody. There's still people super loyal to England, but this is the start of colonial anger towards England and them starting to really kind of think of themselves as, maybe we're not so good off as English. Maybe we need to be looking for a solution. Hint, hint, the American All right, you guys, get everything down you need for here. Make sure you did all your left-hand side questions over on the left-hand side. We didn't discuss them. You're on your own for those. If you haven't plugged them in yet, go back into your notes and plug in all of those questions, guys, and we'll see you next time.